Hey guys, Jake Nicolle here. In this video, I'm gonna share the 5 lessons that I had to learn in order to generate my first $1,250,000 as a realtor. Let's jump in. The first year in real estate, the biggest thing that I wish I had known sooner is that you want to, as quickly as possible, do all the proven things first before you start trying to come up with brand new ideas. So here's a really good example. Hire an administrator likely sooner than you think you need that person. And the reason's really simple. An administrator's time should be far less valuable than your time. And if they're not, it just means that you're not trading your time at the dollar amount you should be. So a great example is salespeople often get stuck in this role where they are doing administrative work 80% of the time and they're only actually doing sales 20% of the time. And then they wonder why they're not more profitable. So for me in real estate, my time is best spent working on deals. As many deals as I can possibly be doing as a salesperson is going to put me in a position to have way higher revenue. The only reason you haven't hired an administrator, a transaction coordinator, or an operations person, or a media person is because you don't believe that if you hire those people, you're gonna be able to do more deals. And until you believe that, you're gonna keep doing exactly what you've been doing, which is you're doing paperwork, you're doing transaction coordination where you're arranging vendors with clients and you're posting to your own social media accounts. If you're doing all that stuff, it just means that you don't yet believe that your time is worthwhile. So the very first thing I'd recommend is go look for people, hire them sooner than you might think, because if you wait until you need them, you're likely bogged down in the work already and it's too late. Now you're running around, you're doing all these transactions, you gotta coordinate all this stuff. You no longer have the time to go out and hire, but that's scary up front, which is why people don't do it. Because they're thinking, I'm gonna wait until I know I've got all this money, and then they have the money and then they realize, well, I'm kind of profitable now, so this is working well and I don't wanna hire people, and you just delay the decision. The next thing is when you're hiring people, hire people that already have the experience. Don't think you're gonna train an administrator from scratch because you're gonna get busy and you don't have time for that. So hire people that have already done it. My administrator, Rachel, who's amazing, I went through 2 or 3 administrators before I found her. She has 20 years in the business. So for her, I didn't have to teach her how to do paperwork. I just had to show her how I like to communicate with clients. I didn't even have to tell her what her daily routine should look like. She literally came in and was like, this is what I do Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays. And I was like, that's phenomenal. She's like, by the way, here's all of these resources that I've done with other agents in the past who had 8 team members, and here's how we can implement them. It saved me so much work. And it was worth the fact that I paid her $10,000 a year more than other administrators, but she came in with all of that knowledge, which is phenomenal. I've done the same thing in every other area of the business. For me, I did my first deal after a month, then I started doing a whole bunch of deals, and I was like, okay, cool. I've got a big pipeline now of business. Very quickly, I was 6 months in, and I was like, I need to hire an administrator ASAP. And I hired someone in my network, and I know I already talked about hiring, but what I would recommend you do is actually spend the time to maybe reach out to a recruiter, spend the $1,000. It might feel expensive at the time to like hire someone to help you search for somebody, but it's so much better than you fumbling around on your Facebook page, searching through your friends, trying to see if there's anybody you know that you can hire. Or better yet, if you already know someone who's an administrator, just hire that person and get the ball started. If you need to spend more of your time up front training them because you just know someone's good and reliable, then you can spend that time training them. But as quickly as possible, you need to focus all of your energy back into sales because that's where you're gonna get paid. Hire people with expertise, hire them sooner than you think you need them. Stop trading your time for activities that you can compensate someone else in. The next most important thing you wanna be doing in real estate is you wanna go to bed late, rise early in the morning, work like hell throughout the day, and then advertise all of it. Unless you are talking about what you're doing, nobody knows you're doing it. We have this fallacy that we believe where because we're working hard, we think if we build it, they're gonna come. The truth is, you gotta build it, then you gotta shout about it like crazy so that people know it exists, so that they know to come to you in your business. One of the first things that I did that I was really intentional about when I was getting into real estate is I started talking about it everywhere. I did the whole like updating my profile photos and headshots, and then really quickly I started going, how do I make a lot of noise online while providing value, letting people know that what I'm doing is something they should be paying attention to. So for you on social media, it's like get out there and start talking about what you're doing. Shoot videos throughout the day, explaining what you're noticing happening in the market. And the best advice I can give you is do not get caught up in trying to make it look like some really big production. Just get it out there. It's purely a numbers game. It's purely a volume game. It's totally a violence is the answer style situation where you just want to be active. You just want to be like, I'm gonna move, get tons of content out there. So what I would do is when I had a listing, I would try and make as much noise about it as possible because I'm like, this is awesome. I have something to talk about. So I'd put a photo up of the property and say, coming soon. Then I put a photo up of me the second the sign went in front of the sign being like, look at how awesome this is. Then I would do open houses and shoot videos talking about it. I was just constantly using Instagram stories, using Facebook and Instagram posts, using everything I could to talk about the property. A lot of stuff you can do that will compete with even big teams that have tons of budget because those people are now busy with all the other aspects of running their business, from nurturing their agents on their own team to dealing with all the new business they have, that you as a solo agent, when you're getting started, you should be making so much noise online. You've got all that spare time, you've got all that energy. I would do this thing where when I first got started, I created a little thing that I could post every day called Today on the Market with Nicolle. It had my face on it. It had the photo that I was gonna be using in my signage. I just wanted people to see me every day. And then what I would do is I would show other people's listings. And I was actually doing this without even having permission, which is not the right thing to do, but I didn't even know I was making a mistake yet. And I would just post like, check out this cool property that popped up in this city. And I would have a little screen share from my website that I would send people to try and get them to click and sign up so that I could have leads. And it caused everybody in my network to be aware that Jake is now a real estate agent. He's doing tons of stuff. He's making all kinds of noise. Clearly he's busy and that's awesome. It builds trust. Remember, people want to do business with people they know, like, and trust. The first part of that equation is they need to know who you are. They're not going to know who you are unless you're working like hell and advertising it. So go out there, make tons of noise and advertise. Now, here's the elephant in the room. What people don't realize about real estate, especially in your first year, is it takes a long time for you to actually get paid. So be really smart about your cash reserves and how you save money. So I'll give you a really good example. I worked my butt off, and in the first month of real estate, I ended up doing a deal. So I got licensed, I did a deal. Here was the only problem. I didn't realize just how long it was gonna take to get paid. So it takes a month, let's say, to do your first deal. That's very fast, by the way. I know amazing agents who went out, and it took them 6 months before they did their first deal. So you go out, you do your first deal. Then what's gonna happen is you're gonna have either a 30, if you're lucky, 60, or more likely 90-day close. And that means that's 3 months before you're actually getting paid from the deal you just did. So now that's been 4 months before you get paid. And then your brokerage is probably gonna fool around for 2 weeks, receiving the money, waiting to send it over to you. And now you're, what is that? That's 4.5 months into getting paid when you started. And the whole time you're spending money on things. You're spending money on your licensing, your insurance, your advertising that you're now doing, whatever the case may be. Just remember, you need some cash reserves, set money aside, don't spend money on foolish things. When you get that first commission check, think about how you can put as much of it as possible back into the business. The second I did my first deal and I got my first 15 grand, let's call it, I immediately was like, that's amazing. I can now run ads for the whole year. Awesome, so I hope you guys enjoyed these 5 lessons that I've learned. Now, if you want more content like this, in this next video, I'm actually gonna break down my lead generation sources and go way deeper on what you need to understand when it comes to lead gen. So check out this video, you're gonna love it.